But this next question, I'm going to start with Maria, and it's community and education are two primary areas of focus and real differentiators for associations. In what ways do you see associations leveraging those strengths more and also generating new streams of non-dues revenue? Maria, take it off, please.
Thank you, Jay. From my point of view, community and education are truly at the heart of what we do at SCCM, and I'm assuming that most of the associations as well. So we offer real opportunities to grow non-dues revenue in ways that stay aligned with our mission. And critical care is evolving so quickly that clinicians rely on us to not just for the information, but for connection, support, and skill building. And that opens several meaningful pathways. We're also seeing strong demand for more specialized, high-value education, things like scenario-based training, micro-learning modules, so more into the virtual area, that licensable programs too, and such as our fundamentals courses, which give hospital scalable tools to train the entire teams. And these models support workforce development while also creating sustainable revenue. And I think that institutional partnerships are becoming increasingly important. These partnerships deepen engagement across the entire care teams, and the interprofessional community is also a huge asset. There's growing interest in peer learning groups and mentorship programs and leadership cohorts, and the way we've been tackling this is also through AI and technology in general. And we've been talking about AI a lot, but I think that this is going to keep coming up because that seems to be the future, because technology lets us scale all of this. So I think it's adaptive learning and integrated platforms that create year-round engagement rather than one-off events. How are the panelists here, Brittany, Ryan, Sean, see that at their institutions, at their societies?
So for us, one of the things that we've been keeping an eye on is how associations are generating and disseminating content and credentialing and micro learning and all of those items. And so we have a number of clients where they're launching new LMS systems. And so again, we're not on the side of like building and launching the LMS, but I always have the eye of how are we generating non-dues revenue through that tool, and what's the process and what's the approach. And so we've been looking at building sponsorship when that new LMS is being launched to have an underwriting sponsor that's associated with that, where they can then have some additional content that gets put in there. One of the things that we're hearing in a number of our markets and industries is workforce development, and making sure that the companies that we're working with on the sponsorship, the exhibit, the advertising side, right, that like affiliated ecosystem of commercial relationships, not always just the members, but how those companies want to reach those young and emerging professionals, be involved in the future of the workforce and build those relationships early. So ideally, those association members are buying from them at some point in the future. So we've been looking at new LMS sponsorship opportunities. That's a really great space to say we're launching a new tool and we need an underwriting sponsor. And as we're taking that out to young and emerging professionals, workforce development, what an amazing opportunity to be alongside of that initial launch. So my lens is coming at it from the side of how do we generate that non-dues revenue through sponsorship? And we're seeing a lot of interest in that. We're also seeing associations, again, as we're looking at shifts in communication. What was a print magazine? How long is that still being published? We're seeing groups build content hubs. So we're working with a group right now where our marketing creative services team is supporting them on the generation and the build of the content hub. And then my team again is looking at how do we then generate meaningful non-dues revenue through that. And there's so much opportunity in how associations are building and developing content for you to work with sponsors and partners on the content generation, because they often have more research and development funding anyway. And then how they can come alongside of the build of that product to then have marketing and advertising visibility. So I think there's so much potential in the world of just content, credentialing, communication, micro-learning, et cetera, for non-dues revenue.
Yeah, I would add, so Brittany, we're a case study of that. I think our partnership program went through a massive overhaul a few years ago. And one of the things that they're doing is when we make an agreement with a partner, we're no longer doing it in a one-off. So it's not, you're going to sponsor this event, but rather you're a partner of EDUCAUSE this year. So that means you get webinars, it means you get this, but it also means we have an Executive Leaders Academy. You have experts on AI. Why don't you come be a thought leader? So you don't come do the sales pitch, but you come be a thought leader for the community so that they get to see that your organization is also doing that stuff. And then we have research reports that go out that are sponsored, right? So they can be a part of those. So it's been this really fun thing to watch. And it's also brought the learning side of our team, so my specific team and our corporate partner team together a lot more because we're working, hey, we have this event, this person wants to be a partner. Where do they plug in logically and in a way that makes sense to the member? So it's not just a, hey, and thanks to our sponsor today. And that's like the last thing that's ever heard about them or from them. So it's really been fun, and it's really fun to watch the corporate folks truly become partners of our members. And then I think it just resonates to sales for them over time, because it goes back to that question we talked about around relationships. It builds a relationship with this company instead of just a transaction. It's been really fun. Sean, I think I interrupted you though.
And that's what they want. Like
Oh.
the companies that are investing, like that's what they want. They want that like
Yes.
partnership and that relationship and that full exposure. So sounds like you guys are doing it right, Ryan.
Yeah, mapping out the engagement I think is really important. And just kind of learning and leaning into that a bit. Trends. I feel like, our supplier, however you term your exhibit, advertiser, partner, non-dues revenue, investor community, I think it's really important to lean into the trends that they might need to do their work a little better. And to Ryan's point about working closely interdepartmentally, this is how you gain alignment. It's the hardest thing to do in our work. It is. I mean, we have a research. 86% of association business teams have no BD strategy, or it's underperforming to a degree where they just can't even. They sort of shrug and go, "I don't know. We hope it works out." And so the reason that exists, and our mission is to improve it, is that well, again, commercially, most of our teammates are not looking for how they're going to improve commercially. They're not working towards a commercial outcome. They don't do that day to day. So to expect them to suddenly understand why, I don't know, sending an invoice on time is important after you sell something, or organizing education in a way that's consumable for the people we're selling it to. There's just so many facets of that work. But really to lean into that a little bit more and introduce the trends to those customers. We're trying that out for the first time. We leaned into that a little bit last week, and it gave us an opportunity to kind of highlight and spotlight what the education teams were doing. Let's talk about that a little bit. Let's talk about one of the topics was globalization. So you're moving work out OUS. Why? How? What will that do to impact our domestic customers, and what would it look like if they wanted to be a leader globally? So it's a whole new opportunity to open up the conversation, share results that other departments are working through, and be a great team to the folks that we're working with. They can sense when we're not a good team. They can sense it, right? Have you ever had that where you're like on the phone with a customer and they just had like a really gnarly conversation about, whether or not they could speak? Sometimes they don't understand the nuance of that. And so getting us all on the same page is a huge win, and it will improve sales.
And I see here that, Sean, thank you so much for bringing up the peer award for our program, the Centers of Excellence. It's really been an honor to be there and receive the award on behalf of SCCM and the Quality Initiative team at our association. The Center of Excellence program is a program which not only generates revenue, but also like elevates the standards and strengths of the institutional engagement. So associations often underestimate how much organizations value the validated recognition, especially when it comes to a designation they can proudly promote. So these programs create both mission-driven impact and a sustainable high-value revenue stream, like we see with our program. So I think it's very important to discuss the recognition and the designation based programs that some of us can create because those are very appreciated.
Just to lean into that a little bit too, I would say there's so many great examples of, we have to be inspired by some of the other folks in the market. What are they doing to win? How can we echo it, learn from it, apply it?
Couldn't agree more. Absolutely.